Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Canty, and this is another episode of Living Enlightened Every Day. I'm committed to helping others love their life and live their passion in order to live each day with that deep sense of purpose, passion, and fulfillment. And I interview guests who have the same objective. They're out there in the world, loving their life, living their passion, and helping others to do the same. Today, I have with me Ranjan Kumar. He is an authentic influence coach, an Amazon best-selling author with the book Hit Your Restart Button: How to Reinvent Yourself and Live a Zero Limits Life, which I have read and written a review for, 5 stars. Yes, it's awesome. He coaches experts to own their authority. He also created the Ultimate Experience India. We call it the Miracle in Mumbai, a transformational event featuring Steve Hardison, his wife Amy Hardison, and Alan D. Thompson's book, The Ultimate Coach, which is ultimately a book about being. Ranjan says, at the end of the day, my job involves people and the truth they're actualizing. Let's meet Ranjan. Today I have with me Ranjan Kumar Varanasi. I'm Elizabeth Canty, and right now Ranjan and I are going to invite you to just listen from your whole being, from that heart-centered space, and listen with the intention that you will find something absolutely wonderful about you in this podcast. You'll know some truth that will be revealed for you in this podcast. So here's a brief summary of Ranjan's impressive journey. He's gone from a struggling speaker to international summit stages, from monkhood to Amazon bestselling author, from a public call office attendant to creating India's best ever International Being Summit, from a YouTube spectator to sharing stages with global luminaries like Steve Hardison, Robin Sharma, and more, from dreaming of a career in speaking, training, and coaching to being recognized as an iconic trainer and top national trainer awardee by JCI India. His invitation to you is, you speak, I listen, we create a new story. Welcome, Ranjan.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. This is so lovely to be with you here after a very long time, and I am so ready to dive into this conversation to create a miracle.
Create a miracle. I know that's what you are all about, and I am as well. I am a miracle, and I create miracles for myself and others.
Yes,
Recognizing the good
I
that is
s-
everywhere.
yes, I see that.
Well, I first want to ask you, you mentioned going from monkhood to Amazon bestselling author. How did you begin on the spiritual path? When did it begin for you? And then we're going to explore for our viewers how that has influenced your success as a single parent, as an entrepreneur, as an author, and a coach.
Sure, Elizabeth. Well, it was about 1997, and before 1997, I never prayed. I never did any meditation. I never did any yoga, or I didn't have any kind of information about spirituality and a difference between materialism. There was nothing in my mind. But I know it. I would call myself an accidental spiritual. It was an accidental spiritual awakening that I had experienced, and well, I loved that. But when it actually happened, I was confused. Something happened in my body, and it was for a moment I wasn't there. I knew that I was going to leave my body, and I had some sense that I am just about to leave my body. On the other side, I was like, there was some part in me which was asking me to stay back. And and it was a short experience that I had, but you call it a near-death experience. I call it my spiritual awakening, because this experience, it kind of jolted me out of that 19 or 20 years of deep slumber. And it was like I woke up to a new dimension of life, and I was exposed to something new, mysterious, which I wasn't aware of, which I didn't understand. So it took me a couple of months, or I would say years, to understand what actually I went through. And this, from there, after just a few months, all of a sudden I realized that I was different. My understanding of life suddenly was different. I suddenly developed new faculties, and kind of like my intuition was different, my comprehension levels were different, my communication was different, my choice of language was different. There were many things that were different, and it was a kind of a rebirth. And so after that, it was like, yeah, I was not feeling that fit in this world. And all of a sudden I was inspired by Swami Vivekanand, and I decided that maybe it's time I took a complete, I renounced my family, and I became a monk in Sri Ramakrishna mission in Hyderabad. I went there. I got the spiritual mantra diksha or initiation from the then world president Swami Ranganathananda. But then it was an organization, and it was like any other organization. So I found that there's not much difference, and I was still looking for something on the outside. And then my guru once, I was there for a couple of months as a monk, and he said, Ranjan, uh, one of other monks observed that something's different with about me, that I'm highly spiritual, and I'm seeking something which maybe I won't find there if I am too busy in the organization part. And then they called me and they suggested that why don't you think again, reconsider your decision. Because my guru said, Ranjan, it was in a very Indian style. He said that, let the water, let the boat be in the water, but not the water in the boat. And when I realized that this is the actual essence of living in this world, in this life, I said, I should be able to do this anywhere. So I can go back home, I can be in the world, and let not the world be in me. And I can be detached, and still I can be serving, and still I can be connected in a more evolved way, than connected only through the sensory form. And that's how I came back, and I started my journey, which I would call the rebirth of my material life. And it was so it took me a while to understand that these are not two different worlds. They actually coexist, and they exist within. And it took a very small time, just over 2 decades. and 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 that's how I realized I had to restart my life multiple times. And that's when I felt that this is what I love helping people restart their lives. And I wanted to help people understand that this is possible, that there is no end. and and in fact, when you hit the rock bottom, you find a new beginning. You
Yes.
create a new beginning. And that's why I wrote this book, and it turned an Amazon bestseller less than 15 days.
Oh, I love that. And I am so inspired by that story, because so many of us go through that idea that our spiritual life is over there. It's separate. I have to focus on it. I have to be it. I have to practice. And then you go into it and it isn't that. And then you come back and you realize it isn't just this anymore. It isn't just this mind-body experience. It's all of it. It's integrating spirit, mind, and body. And you found that pretty early on, but I resonate so much when you said only 2 decades, to really to really bring it together and to have it just be what it is in its fullness. Because that's how I see you now. I see you in your fullness of this wonderful expression of all of life, all of who you are as a single dad, as an entrepreneur, as an author, as a coach and trainer. So it's been beautiful for you.
Absolutely, Elizabeth. And yes, like why I say just 2 decades is because it's just 2 decades of your whole life. You know, imagine you not knowing, you not being aware of this for your whole life.
Yes.
And now since I am different, those 2 decades look like very small. And because this moment matters, because this moment has changed who I am with my family. This moment has changed who I am being with my clients. This moment has, in fact, changed or is still evolving me in relationship to my own self.
Yeah.
And that is what I believe, that 2 whole decades I was invested on the outside.
Mm.
And in less than maybe a few years, I have been invested inside.
Beautiful. I think that is the idea of really integrating spirit, mind, and body. There's no separation, but there might be, if we're just in body and mind, we don't feel ourselves. Many people don't feel themselves as whole. So they're looking for something out there. They're looking for love in relationships. They're looking for success or financial freedom in a business or an opportunity or just a day-to-day job, or they're looking for fulfillment in a vocation, when all those things are really inside of us. They're right where we are. And when we tap into that, we bring it forth. We call it forth into our life. And you are just a beautiful expression of that, calling it forth.
Exactly, Elizabeth. And I would like to even say that you don't even have it inside. You create it. You
Oh,
create it. You kind of have the raw material which can be used to create anything and everything. So you are that source. In fact, you create what you intend to. But more important is you realizing that you are the source.
yes. Yes, source isn't up there, out there, an infinite
Mm.
distance from ourselves. It is right where we are.
Yes. And for 2 decades, I was tired. I was exhausted. I was chasing. I was running, and I was wanting to do everything possible to prove that I'm worth living. I'm worth this life. And it was just moments after any kind of small success, I would again start feeling that what next? What next should I do to prove that I'm worth life? If 2 decades of my thirst could not be quenched, then probably another 2 decades also would have gone like that. Unless it happened that I realized that this is an inside out thing. This is not an outside in thing. Well, maybe from a holistic sense they're not different, but the approach is that as you said, that as long as you're looking for that thing that will complete you from outside, then you're missing the point. Then you're missing the point that it's you don't have a story, you are the story.
Wow, yes. Yes, yes, you are the story of life living itself.
Yes.
And we're all such beautiful stories But we're so hard on ourselves sometimes, as you've explored. We're so hard on ourselves. We feel like we don't compare, because that's what our sense of self-worth is like that person has more or can do more or is better at, and we compare and we start shrinking who we are. But we were created, I say, in the image and likeness
Mm,
of God, of source, of life. Where life doesn't create anything in duplicate. There is not one rock, one leaf, one blade of grass that is the same. There is only this diverse expression of life, and we have to honor ourselves first as the most beautiful expression of life. There's no one else like our expression. And when you find that, it's the most beautiful gift. And I know that you found that. I can see it, sense it. And I know that's what you use, that inner power, to create the miracle in Mumbai. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came to be?
definitely, Elizabeth. But before that, I would like to tell you the journey from doing to being to expressing.
Oh, yes.
And this is where the creation of the Miracle in Mumbai, the Ultimate Experience India happened. So I would say the creation of the Ultimate Experience India was an expression of being. And this is something that mm, liberated me from that journey of doing. Although I had a glimpse of it, but I would say the call that I had with Steve Hardison when I invited him, I think that was the beginning of assimilating the understanding of being and expression of being. So yes, it took me months to understand what actually started happening within me, and it is still going on. But I can see that I am now, I see myself as a flower which is blossoming, expressing itself, than doing. And like any other life form, when something is you know transcending and changing to a different form, there is a pain, but that pain is of the process of birthing a new form. And this is what happened uh, through different circumstantial experiences that I had before the Ultimate Experience India. And it was a time when COVID, it was a second phase of COVID in India, and both of my parents were affected with COVID, and my mother and my father, and then I lost my mom. And but those this the miracle actually happened in those last 3 days uh, uh, of my mother's life, when my mother was almost in sleep during last 3 days. Only for She would wake up only for those tablets, and then she would fall back again. She didn't have any energy, and it was COVID. And so I would go every hour or every 2 hours. I would go and I would ask her if she needed anything. And there was this last 3 days of conversation which transformed my life, and in fact I would say which actually birthed the Ultimate Experience India. And yes, I was inspired when I heard about Judy's Ultimate Experience Arizona, and I had this desire that why not create. But that was not an intention, that was not a decision at that point of time. It was just a kind of a thing, like, okay, would be good if we do it, kind of thing, and just a momentary desire. This actually went wrong. My mom passed away, but I was recalling everything that happened with my mom during those last 3 days. And this conversation was only of two sentences. And every time I would go to my mom and I would ask her, like, Mom, do you need anything? She would say, like, no, just be here, just be here, just be here. And there was nothing, no conversation, except, Mom, do you need anything? and no, just be here. So, and then she passed away. And the same evening, doctors declared that I would be losing my dad as well. And it was tough for me because my kids, I'm a single parent, and my kids were confused, and my mom had gone away. And now by evening, I was in hospital, and I was told that my dad might not survive that night. And and it was like I was totally choked inside. But then after, miraculously, my father came back and he revived in just another 3 days, and it was definitely a miracle for me. And but then I was in a depression for about a few days, and I was so connected to my mom that I was not prepared to lose her. And and then I started recollecting my memories, and then I said, how come this conversation happening? Mom, do you need anything? And she would only say, no, just be here. And then suddenly, the day actually she passed away, when in my arms, I was consciously shouting, Mom, I'm here. Mom, I'm here. Mom, I'm here. I was not doing that consciously. And I was just shouting, Mom, I'm here. Mom, I'm here. And then I suddenly it started making sense for me that there was something happening.
Right.
My mom wanted me to be there, and I was shouting as she was going away, Mom, I'm here. Mom, I'm here. Mom, I'm here. This woke me up
Wow.
to the essence of presence.
Yeah.
This woke me up to the essence of presence.
Wow.
And I realized, oh my goodness, if I knew, if I had known this essence of presence, maybe I would have been more present for my mom the whole life. Maybe I spent time with her, but maybe most of the times I wasn't available there. That transformed my whole understanding. I started being a different dad for my kids. I started being a different son for my dad. I started being a different person to my friends, to my colleagues, to the participants of my workshop, and everything was different. And then I started exploring about this word being, and that's when I came across the workshop by a coaching. I joined a 3-month coaching by Michael Neal, and just I heard him talking about Steve Hardison, his coach, and I said, my goodness, if Michael Neal could help me understand inside out understanding, who's this Steve Hardison? And Michael speaks very high of him. And so I started looking for Steve, and he wasn't there anywhere, on the internet and YouTube, and there wasn't much about him. And just after a couple of days, I got connected with this group, the Ultimate Coach group, and then Steve released his book, the draft copy of the book of being the ultimate coach. And that was the moment. It was like the book connected my entire, journey of being. And that was when it kind of landed in me. And I got connected to this world of being. So that's where it started. And I got connected with the group, and that's after a few months, then I got to know about Judy's summit, and I was like, yeah, it would be good to do. And then I connected with, I made a video, I posted on the group, and people started interacting. And then I started inviting people onto my podcast, Moments with Masters. And I was interviewing Laban Dishburn for my show. And after the show, he asked, like, Ranjan, what would you, now that you have this understanding of life from your mother, what would you like to create as a tribute to your mother? And I said, I would love to create two things. One, I would like to create the ultimate experience, India. And two, I would like to bring Steve Hardison to India. And that's where it started.
Wow, that is a miracle on so many levels. And it brings me, and I'm sure the viewers, back to that idea of hit your restart button. Sometimes the button's going to get hit for us. I mean, you know, that being with your mom like that is repeating that over and over, having that be this incredible realization for you, and then to the synchronistic event of finding Steve Hardison. And for those who aren't familiar, Steve Hardison is called the ultimate coach, and there is a book written about him, which I have spoken about on a couple of podcasts. It's The Ultimate Coach is the name of the book, written by his wife and Alan D. Thompson. But I have to always add a big but, because because it is a book about being. It really is, and it has transformed so many people's lives, including my own. And meeting Steve Hardison and meeting the people that he has influenced, because like Ranjan, like myself, I hope that where we come from, and you said it so beautifully, Ranjan, you said, we go from doing, we live in this world of effects, and we're so busy handling all of these problems and issues and relationships and jobs and opportunities and endings, whatever it is, and we're doing and we're busy. And then we learn to be, and we that transition of being. And some of us get a little stuck in being. I can speak for myself, getting stuck in being. But you said, and then there's expressing. So it's not that doing again. It doesn't look like what we used to do. It's expressing. And you mentioned too, creating. We're creating from being. And that is a distinction that I think Steve Hardison has coached and taught at so many people through his coaching, but also through Amy and Alan's book, the book of being, the book about you. So that'll give some people some insight, and I'll put it in the show notes, the Amazon page, to get the book. And that's how Ranjan and I met, through our mutual friend, Steve Hardison, the force of nature that he is. And everyone around him really becomes like he's this this tornado, you know, but everyone caught in that cyclone becomes their own force of nature. They're really sinking into their being and then expressing from that. And he's engaging that in, and I know that is where you are now. You are this force of nature, this cyclone that you are expressing from your incredible being as a parent, as a writer, as a coach. I can just see your world empowered, and you speak to all of us this empowering talk, you know, the way you speak. One of your quotes is, adversity is an opportunity to invent possibility. And that, again, just goes right back to your book, Hit Your Restart Button. It's just this theme of your life that I feel like you're sharing with everyone.
Absolutely. You know, even in the process of creation of this ultimate experience, there were adversities. There was a moment when I had to quit my full-time job, and I had to sacrifice that major chunk of that income, which was very important for my family at that point of time. And it was very easy for me to do that. It didn't take more than a few seconds to share my decision to my boss. And he gave an option, like, what do you want to do? You want to do the event, or you want the job? And it didn't take me a second to get back to answer him. I said, he said, yeah, he said, like, what do you want, your passion or your job? And I said, my passion. It didn't take even a second, and I can still remember the shock I saw, the shocking expression that I saw on his face. And I was like, yes, this is what I have been preparing. And even if I go back to that moment, I would say that life presented an opportunity in the form of adversity. And it was a moment of decision. Had I not seized that opportunity, life would have allowed me to be who I was, to continue to be there. And I would have made a choice to stay back, not evolve, not open and express my being, and be trapped in the world of doing,
Yeah.
and would have spent another 2 decades chasing, running and looking for validation from outside and looking for that source of authority on the outside.
Mhm.
So that's the reason, and there were many difficulties, and even many people do not know that. Even just right after the ultimate experience India, my son was diagnosed with depression, and I had and there were moments when I had to be home. I could not find another source of opportunity. I could not create, and I was stuck financially. I didn't have any other opportunities, and there were multiple health issues with my kids and so much going on, and I lost all my sources of income. But I knew, but somewhere I had faith
Yeah.
that this is leading me to a new dimension, because I deep down knew that adversity is definitely an opportunity to create a new possibility. And I knew that I am in the process of being available to do this new thing that I'm creating, a new possibility that I'm creating. It takes time. It takes time. What is essential is to be available, and I was committed to be available to that process.
When you said that your boss asked you whether he literally asked you that, or it's the way you heard it, do you want your passion or do you want your job?
No, he literally asked me, because I told him the cause, that the profits of the ultimate experience India are going to this, the cause of helping the daughters of the children who have become victims of sex trafficking in Mumbai, and that there are the daughters of the prostitutes of the red light area of Mumbai. And he heard everything, and he said, well, that's your passion. So what do you choose, your passion or your job? And I said, passion.
Yes. And when I heard you say that all of these things happened even after you made that decision and after this incredible summit and experience, the ultimate experience of being in India, even after all of that success, there were challenges. And for many of us, when we feel life coming at us that way, which is what it feels like, that's the ego, that's the body mind saying, I should have stayed with my job, or I should have done this, or I shouldn't have quit. And I think when we're that committed, when we're really committed, we're putting our faith into that which is inside and unseen, but felt as passion or excitement or creativity. It's something so much more powerful than the adversity as it shows up. But some of us, through habit, will go back. We'll say, "Oh, I need that job again." We'll crawl back and say, I should have stayed here." But there's something exciting when we know that our passion, at least my belief is, I think yours too, our passion, following our passion, following our excitement, following our authentic expression rather than just doing, our passion will support us. It's God, it's life, it's spirit supporting itself as our passion.
Exactly. And I would say that, the pain that comes from the adversity, or the pain that comes from your passion, is part of that process which is helping you evolve, which is helping you grow. And that is essential for you to grow, for you to express your being at a different level, for you to be a different person. And it depends on how committed you are to the process. The day you give up and you say, this is enough, like, I can't take more than this, then you're telling the universe that I'm okay with this. I don't want to go more deeper. And then you spend another couple of years there, and then you again feel guilty of not having chosen the passion or something that would have evolved you, and then you feel guilty, and then it's like a trap again, a guilt trap again. And then you say, oh, I wasted my 5 years, I should have done that, and I would have created this. And then by the time you get addicted to mediocrity.
Right. There's a book, I forgot the author right now. It's called From Good to Great. And he says that good is the obstacle to great. Meaning if we settle for good, it's very hard to be great, because
Yes.
we're like, well, this is good. This is good. But spirit is always calling for us. And I use the word spirit, but many people know that I mean it's our authentic self. It's our higher self. We could call it our Krishna consciousness, the Buddha nature, our Christ consciousness, whatever that is, that it's our soul's expression is just calling for us to step into its greater expression. But sometimes we just want to go, no, this is good. This is good, right?
Mm.
But there's great waiting for us, and it's not a great that is compared to anyone else. It's just great for us. It's just great to be our authentic self and be our best version of a parent, our best version of a son or a daughter, our best version of an entrepreneur, or whatever it is we're doing, our hobbies, whatever it is.
It's actually the most effortless way
Mm.
of expressing your true self. You don't have to do anything. The thing is, you undo what has been done. And undoing is easier than adding multiple things and multiple practices, and and also taking that pride, false pride of that I do this, I do this, I do this. In fact, you just be yourself. And I'm not making it, I'm not giving a very simplistic kind of a thing, but being you is like the most effortless thing that you can do, to let it express itself.
Yes.
You can even forget of you expressing it. Let it express itself through you. Just being available.
Yes, you said it though, getting some stuff out of the way. And it's those
Yes.
negative beliefs, the limiting beliefs, the non-useful thinking. It's like just noticing them.
Yes. And imagine the day I said yes to Ultimate Experience India, and my decision to create. Imagine, had I not done it, would I have connected with Steve Hardison? Would I have connected with all these people, hundreds of people across the world? Would I have been able to create the Ultimate Experience India? Would Steve Hardison have come to India, this soon? Maybe, I don't know. But would I have, imagine, I wouldn't have ever met Steve Hardison other than, the Ultimate Experience. I didn't even know who he is. But the day I knew, I told Laban that, Laban, I don't know if I'm going to go there and see Steve Hardison, but maybe I could do something to bring him to India. And this was such a big challenge. But imagine, had I not been available to that vision that I created as a tribute to my mother, imagine, I wouldn't have met all these hundreds of people from across the world. I wouldn't have been talking to you. I wouldn't have been, most importantly, I wouldn't have been coached by the ultimate coach, Steve Hardison, for more than 25 hours, something around 30 hours.
Hmm.
Imagine people flying from across the world and paying him so much. And it was in a conversation with Raghav Prakash in one of his Zoom calls. I just jokingly said that, Raghav, I don't know how much you all guys pay to Steve Hardison, but I'm being coached for more than 25 hours by him for free. And we all loved, and I loved being coached by him. But then Steve Hardison, Raghav sent the video link to Steve Hardison, and the very next night, Steve called me and he said, Ranjan, here's something I would like to tell you. I loved what you spoke there, but I want to tell you that you paid for getting coached by me in the form of your commitment to create this ultimate experience India. So you remember that you made the payment, you paid the price. And yes, I paid the price. And the miracles are miracles. Imagine Angie Scott, who lost her life partner just about a couple of days, 20 days ago, the event. She flew from UK to attend this summit. Imagine a lady, Desire, who flew 46 hours from Bolivia to attend this summit. Imagine Bina Bendal, who had 4 children, and maybe she left her family there and she traveled here. And this was the first time she visited India after she lost her dad in Mumbai. And she actually had thought that I would never go back to India. And this event brought her to India. And there were many people. There were Gabby Puma, who flew and supported here. There were Kusudi and Karan Rai, who had damaged his knee during the marathon, the world famous marathon that he ran. There are 7 marathons on 7 consecutive days in 7 different continents. He damaged his knee, but then he was available using his crutches. And I got to meet such wonderful people, and they had miracles created in their lives. Imagine if I had, it's all because of that one moment that I was available to that thought.
You've expressed these big moments in your life and how each of them have really guided you to let go of sort of what I'm hearing in this conversation, to let go of this outer doing, the focusing on everything outside of ourselves. And it was kept inviting you to turn within, and it kept doing that for you until it seems like it came to that logical conclusion of you really committing to that miracle in Mumbai. And how could it not be a miracle for all those who are participating in that energy? I mean, you had Steve's support, you had so many people. They're again, I just imagine this cyclone with all these cyclones spinning around it. That's creating miracles. It's sloughing off all that is lacking and limiting, and all these negative ideas, all the things that can't be done. And it's really saying, and I hear you saying, we can create miracles. It's the first thing you said today.
Exactly. It's very real that people called me and they said, you won't be able to do that. There were people who spoke, you won't be able to do that. And it was not about doing, for I had this deep sense of faith that it is going to happen, and it has happened. And I just knew that it is yet to be created in that physical reality, but I knew that it exists there. And I would definitely give the credit to the coaching that I got from Steve Hardison every single night, and hours and hours. And he was that guy who was, he was, I would call him that, my coach, who was peeling layers after layers after layers, and which is what moved, from me, completely transitioned me from the doing world to the being world, to helping me, express the actual event and me through the event. And when this was a miracle, and when, as Steve said, I still remember a night he called me and said, Ranjan, you know what? Mumbai is going to be a miracle. And he said, do you know why, Ranjan? And I said, why? Because I am going to be the miracle. You are going to be a miracle. Imagine, and we are being the miracle. How can Mumbai not be a miracle?
How has that event changed your life now? Because I think you're in a whole new career, a whole new expression of who you are, your authentic being.
Yes, Elizabeth, it's like I would first say that my conversations are different. My connections are different. What I speak is different. How I speak is different. More importantly, how I listen is
Mm,
different.
wow.
How I'm being available is different. And there are times like, in many of the coaching sessions, like it's like not much speaking, and still people say that, it was very impactful. It was very transformative. And the most importantly, how you connect at a level which is much deeper than even whether you or the person can even imagine. And it happens so naturally now. My clients who have been giving me the feedback of the impact they have been experiencing, I can see that difference. And most importantly, Elizabeth, how I listen to my kid,
Mm,
how my kid has started responding differently, how my dad has started responding differently, how my clients have started responding differently, how I have started responding differently to life. Does that mean that I won't have adversities? Of course I will have, but I'm not the same. I'm going to be not that same Ranjan who is going to look for authority on the outside
mm,
or seek authority from outside. I see, oh my goodness, like we have given away authority to the outside world. And
wow.
then we pretend as if we are victims.
Yes, yes, we decide that that's what's happened to us, and then we live from that. When we make a new decision, and I love that in your introduction, you say that you help powerful people own their own authority. And I know why, because you have owned your authority as a creator, as a miracle worker, as a visionary. You can see the vision for yourself and others and hold them to it. I think that's the powerful role of a coach, is not just to see the vision for someone and not just to give them tasks to do to get to that place, but holding the vision when they can't hold it themselves, just seeing the truth of their being when they can't see the truth of their being themselves, and finding those wonderful little pathways that make it individual. It's not a formula when you're working one-on-one with someone. You see them and they see you, and you listen from your heart, and you guide them to create the miracle to reveal, I would say, the miracle that they are, so they can create the miracles that they envision in their life.
And I believe that truth has the power to heal, and authenticity has the power to heal. And it's both ways.
Mm,
You get healed because you can never heal somebody without you getting healed in the process.
mm,
The more you are courageous about expressing your inauthenticity, as Werner Erhard said, authenticity is about, being courageous enough to express your inauthenticity. When you do that, it's very easy for the client, people around you, to notice that difference.
mm,
And you don't have to say anything. They can connect with the alignment that you are being in that moment. This is the actual shift.
mm.
The shift is not that work on the outside, it's on the inside. And I had a fantastic experience last month, and I was invited for a 3-hour workshop. where I had to give this in a small workshop to about 50 real estate agents and builders and everybody. And I was called and I was told that this city where I was going to go, that these people would never listen for more than 2 hours. They're very arrogant and they are more focused on the lunch and the drinks, and not, they wouldn't even, for more than 90 minutes, they wouldn't be patient enough to listen. And you just give away something that you have to share on the PowerPoint slides, and just see if they are uneasy, just give them a break. And I was told many things. I said I don't want to judge them. Just let me be there for a while. And you will be surprised. I was surprised that after about 90 minutes, I said, would you want a break, a washroom break or something? They said, no, we don't want a break. We want you to continue. And the workshop continued for more than 3 hours. And it was about 2:30 p.m. And I said, would you want to go to lunch? And no, they said, we don't want, we can bring some drinks and some food here, and we don't want, you please continue. This is the first time we have heard something that really makes sense. And why? This was not different about the content. It was different about who I was being and what I learned about being in this journey of the creation of the ultimate experience India from Steve Hardison. And eh, the message that the one of the most fantastic things that I learned from Steve is anything that I would say, Steve, this, and he would bring it back to me. He would say, Ranjan, remember, it's from you. You are the creator. You are the leader. You are doing it. And uh, for a few days, I would feel like, okay, he's trying to motivate me. He wasn't trying to motivate me. He was reminding me that I was being the source, and there was the message to remember that you are the source. Your being is the source.
That is so powerful what you just said, that he wasn't motivating you. He was reminding you of a truth. And what a difference that is. I can feel that as you say it. And I hope others get that distinction, that some people want to build you up, but are they really seeing you as your source of authority, your source of authenticity, your source of creativity? Are they really seeing, or are they just trying to, pat you on the back and be a cheerleader? Or are they a visionary with you? Can they see the truth of your being? And the way we can usually tell, see if you agree with me, is if someone can see the truth of their being, then they can see the truth of your being. If they can't see themselves as that whole, perfect, and complete within, as a being from source, then they can't see that for you. They might be able to motivate and they might be able to inspire, but they don't have that true vision of seeing you whole, perfect, and complete. And I just appreciate that. I know that that's what you do for people.
Exactly, Elizabeth.
Mm.
Just about a few years ago, I would have said that, I used to say in my workshop that this, you don't find meaning, you make meaning. And it's you who decide what the meaning is going to be. But now I would even say that, what if now life had no meaning and being was the only meaning and being was the only purpose? Now, if a flower can exist without meaning, why can't us just expressing our being?
Yes.
What if being was the only fragrance that we were spreading across?
I'm in agreement.
Yes,
I'm in agreement. Well, and honestly, it's the meaning that we assign so many things is often so, it's not even, it's not, I was going to say it's not true, but it's not only not true, it's not even a fact. Because how we're assigning meaning that someone doesn't like me, or somebody thinks I'm wrong, or someone's out to get me, or life is hard. We're assigning a meaning to those things, to that life is hard, when it's not true. When we're in a flow, as you've mentioned, life can seem very easy. Even adversity looks like it's happening for us, not to us. It's happening
Exactly.
for us, like the
Yes.
challenges of losing a job or being asked to quit or leave. It's happening for us. But when we think life is hard, we retract and we regret and we resent and we feel frustrated and we suffer. But when we are in the flow, this life is moving me into a greater expression. If we absolutely believe that, regardless of what's showing up, we see from that perspective of life is supporting me. Life is supporting me in my authentic expression and growing and changing and loving and being.
Exactly. How else would you want how else would you want to come out of that womb
Yeah,
into
yeah.
a new world?
Yes, yes.
How else would you want the universe to speak with you?
Yeah.
In fact, these situations are how universe is actually speaking with you.
Right.
It's actually serving you. It's actually serving you with what you asked for. See, I wanted to create the ultimate experience India, and the time was exactly 9 months.
Oh, wow.
It's exactly 9 months. Wasn't it a miracle? I said, this is a gestation period, and the ultimate experience India was birthed exactly 9 months from the day that I committed to create it. What a miracle. And in a session with KB Puma, I said that I went through this process. People are not aware. I went through this process of rebirthing. It took me about 45 minutes. I felt the pain of, I felt as if I am birthing myself.
Mm,
I cried. And I went through the pain. I felt as if I am birthing myself.
wow.
And the
Yeah.
day, this happened and it continued, I feel that, well, this is how universe speaks with you. It presents to you what you ask for. And miracles don't come without all these things.
That is beautiful. Well, what advice or what would you leave our viewers with today? I mean, you've had so many gems. There doesn't have to be any more, but if there was one more thing, what would you say?
Observe for the resistance.
Mhm. Wow.
Resistance is the real culprit. The moment you feel that you are resisting something, you get an opportunity to create a new possibility.
Beautiful.
That is the door. Resistance is the door. The bigger the resistance, the bigger the possibility.
Oh my goodness, that was a good one. Thank you, Ranjan. I want to invite the listeners and the viewers to be able to reach out to you with any questions or comments. I know that you've sparked some wonderful questions for them or some inquiry for them. How can they reach you?
Well, they can visit my website, coachranjankumar.com. They can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Coach Ranjan Kumar, and they can write me an email, ranjan.ranjan01@gmail.com. They can connect with me on LinkedIn, Ranjan Kumar Varanasi.
Beautiful. And your book is Hit Your Restart Button, How to Reinvent Yourself and Live a Zero Limits Life. That is available on Amazon and it will be in the notes along with all the website and other things.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Maybe I'm coming soon with my new book. So we'll have a conversation once my new book comes out.
What is the name of your new book?
It's a secret at the moment.
I'm guessing that's not the name, but
Absolutely no.
oh, good, good. Well, let me know when that comes out and we'll do another show about that. But you are just such an
Uh,
inspiration, and I'm so happy to have caught up with you again. It's been a beautiful exchange. There's so many wonderful ideas for everyone in this. So I'm invite our viewers and listeners to hit the like button, the subscribe, and share it with a friend. I'm sure they are ready to finally hear that in adversity is this incredible opportunity to grow, to expand, and to be even more of who you are meant to be. Yeah. Thank you, Ranjan, for joining me. And I'm Elizabeth Canty, and this is Living Enlightened Every Day. Join me each week for a new insight into how we can love our life and live our passion. And just remember to laugh, love, and live enlightened every single day. Namaste.